Hey there, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me. This is Nate Gustafson, and I am so thrilled that you are tuning in to this special Hope Connection presentation called The Gift of Presence. Give the gift of presence at home, in the community, and beyond. If you're new to this, if you're new to the material and the content that I've been providing, the goal of this resource is to help you thrive as you advance hope in home, at your community, and beyond. This could be with your family, your closest friends. It could be in your job. It could be in your neighborhood. It could be as a volunteer with the local Cub Scouts or Girl Scouts or the local soup kitchen. It could be with your beehive community. It could be with whoever you spend time with in your community. And it's beyond. It's beyond our wildest imaginations. It's beyond the limits of our imagination. It's beyond the limits of our time, our current resources, anything that we've even thunk of so far. And so the goal here today is to help you thrive, to provide you some resource, some encouragement, hopefully some inspiration that will help you thrive in your efforts to advance hope. And today we're going to focus on giving the gift of presence. And I don't know about you, but when I went into service, into church work, into hospice ministry, into hospital chaplaincy, into volunteering at my daughter's school, whatever it might be, it seems like one of the popular phrases is that we need to be present to people. We need to be present to the moment with our folks that we're trying to serve, that we're trying to help, that we're trying to encourage. That goes with our 2-year-olds, our grandchildren, our next door neighbor. It goes with the person working in the cubicle next to us. It goes to the other parents of sons or daughters in our school system. The idea of presence, and I, up until recently, I have to be honest, I still really struggled to figure out what exactly that means. I think I know what that means, and I think I do a pretty good job of offering a ministry of presence or a gift of presence, but I wanted to tackle that this season. I wanted to tackle that as we think about giving gifts, whether it's the holiday season, whether it's for your anniversary, your spouse's birthday, your children's special days, anniversaries, birthdays, whether it's Valentine's Day, whether it's a retirement gift for the boss that you truly love. When we think of giving gifts, oftentimes we think of what you see on your screen. We think of bright packages, we think of pretty bows or gift cards or elaborate experiences. But I want to focus on a gift of presence that really doesn't cost you a nickel. It won't put you into further credit card debt. It won't cost you anything, and yet it will cost you everything at the same point. And I came across a quote recently in a team meeting that really grabbed my attention, and I looked it up, and I found this amazing video that truly speaks to the heart of what I want to share with you today. So I'd like to share with you this video based upon a quote by Henry Nouwen, and it's a video called The Ministry of Presence.
Thing this morning on the news that we only got 18 inches of snow yet. We usually supposed to have about 40 something.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. We have next much.
You've got a lot in the mountains. Yeah, oh, yeah, they're way over.
Yeah, that's it.
More and more, the desire grows in me simply to walk around, greet people, enter their homes, sit on their doorsteps, play ball, grow water, and be known as someone who wants to live with them. It is a privilege to have time to practice this simple ministry of presence. Still, it is not as simple as it seems. My own desire to be useful, do something significant, or to be part of some impressive project is so strong that soon my time is taken up by meetings, conferences, study groups, and workshops that prevent me from walking the streets. It is difficult not to have plans, not to organize people around an urgent cause, and not to feel that you are working directly for social progress. But I wonder more and more if the first thing shouldn't be to know people by name, to eat and drink with them, to listen to their stories and tell your own, and to let them know by words, handshakes, and hugs that you do not simply like them, but you truly love them.
sums it up right there. To offer the gift of presence means that we want to be a person who is known for our care, our love, our concern. Want to be known as someone who tunes into the needs of those around us, who has a moment to walk and talk and shake a hand and offer a hug to someone who might be having a bad day. And as we think about this gift of presence, I want to really frame it up for us today in three key objectives. And the first one is to define presence as a gift of healing that comes from your heart and soul. Presence is a gift of healing. Secondly, I want to help us differentiate between a presence that heals and a presence that poisons. And we'll get into that in just a little bit. Finally, by the end of this session today, by the end of watching this video, I want to help you develop greater listening skills and practice the validation of the emotional process that someone is going through in a time of need. Maybe it's your 2-year-old grandchild. Maybe it's your next door neighbor. Maybe, again, it's a coworker at the office whose spouse was just diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Unfortunately, those stories happen more and more and more. It seems like the more we wake up, tune into the world around us, I can't even begin to tell you the number of stories I've heard just in the last week of people who are going through such difficult and crazy times, and we need to be there for them. We need to be the people who advance hope in their lives, and one of the greatest ways that we can advance hope in someone's lives is to offer that gift of presence. Healing presence. What does that mean? What does that look like? How do I know that my presence truly heals and isn't trying to interrupt or disrupt someone's life? I've heard many people say, well, I can't even begin to do what you do, Nate, as a hospice chaplain, as a volunteer coordinator, as a ministry person. I couldn't even begin to do that. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. And thankfully, you don't have to say or do a whole lot to make a huge difference as we offer the gift of healing presence. In my own definition, I've come to define healing presence as the intentional tuning in to the person and the story that's unfolding in a moment, while tuning out personal agendas, the noise of circumstances, and any other distractions that may interfere with the healing gift of presence. So the gift of healing presence, there's 3 gifts that if you think about the gifts that you put under the tree or the gifts that you collect when you're about to go to your son or daughter or your grandchild's birthday party, think about the gift of attention. Boy, attention is in such short supply these days. We're constantly scrolling, we're constantly going, we're constantly busy, more, less time. Greater sense of distraction, greater sense of anxiety, greater sense of worry in our lives. But the gift of healing presence begins when we give our attention to another person, whether that's in their joys or their sorrows. And the next gift of healing presence is the gift of acceptance. It's not always an agreement. It may not always be an enjoyment. But we accept that this is the reality of what's going on. We accept that this person deserves someone else's love and attention in this moment. So we give the gift of acceptance. We accept them right where they are, warts and all, I like to say, flaws, failures, faults, whatever it might be. We accept them in that moment, offering our unconditional positive regard, and we offer them that gift of that moment of acceptance. It doesn't mean that we agree fully in whatever circumstances are going on, whatever explanations that they share with us. Who really cares at that point? The idea is that we just accept them in the moment as a son, as a daughter, as a friend, as a loved one who needs another human connection in that moment to give them this gift of healing presence. And the last gift of healing presence is the gift of appreciation. Oftentimes I find myself just welling up with appreciation in a moment of listening to someone in it going through a great trial or circumstance of epic proportion. And I just sense this feeling of appreciation, just like, wow, I feel so honored that you would allow me, sometimes a complete stranger, to come and be with you in this moment. Recently, I was just out with one of our hospice volunteers, and we were bringing some music and good cheer for the holiday season. And this one hospice patient was leaning back in this reclining chair. Appeared that she may have had a stroke at some point because the left side of her body was really stiff and didn't appear that she could move. But she kept saying how we reminded her of her son. And yet we knew obviously we weren't related to her. We knew obviously that we weren't her sons. But in that moment, I just thought, wow, it brightened her day to be reminded of her son. So we just said that we appreciate you. We thank you for letting a couple of strangers just come by, shake your hand, wish you a Merry Christmas, offer you a couple of songs to pick up your day, and just said thank you. You could have turned us away at the door. You could have, not trusted us. We're just a couple of strangers to you. So I just feel like the gift of healing presence, we need to offer our appreciation back in return to someone entrusting us with their pain and their sorrow, entrusting us with their joys and their passions. It's just a wonderful gift to be able to share that both ways. And so if that's the gifts of healing presence, we have also been on the receiving end of someone's presence that's more like a poisonous apple than it is a gift of healing and hope. So what does half-hearted presence really look like? It's one of those experiences that if you've ever felt like someone isn't fully with you when you're trying to bear your burdens with them, unlock the secrets that you've kept hidden inside of your heart, and the other person's kind of yawning, looking around, distracted, starts offering tips and techniques to solve all of your problems. That poisons that moment. It poisons sometimes even that relationship, that you don't, if that's an ongoing habitual reaction and response that you get every time you try to share a feeling, try to share a moment with someone that you think is trustworthy or a friend or a family member, their half-hearted response is oftentimes not presence, but it's poison. Poisonous presence. There's at least 5, I feel, common poisons that come with people's half-hearted presence. There's the poison of half-hearted care. Genuinely, they just don't care. They might half-heartedly care, or they might even just be pretending to care, and yet really the percentage of care for your need or your concern is maybe like 0.1% in that moment. That's a poisonous presence. That's not going to bring healing and restoration and hope in that moment. The poison of distracted attention. I mentioned earlier we're in the age of distraction, the digital distraction, the noise distraction, the multitask distraction. Attention is in such short supply. And if someone's distracted, every time you have a piece of good news that you want to share at the office, every time that you want to share with that person in your small group from church just really what's going on that's frustrating you in your family life, if they just constantly are distracted and talking about themselves, talking about the weather, talking about their own family burdens that are going on without giving you a moment of attention, again, it's going to poison that opportunity to find healing and restoration and hope. There's the poison of personal agendas. And if we're honest, we all have offered our personal agenda, our personal solution, the personal foolproof way to solve everyone's problems in the world. If they would just listen to us, all of their problems would be solved. I know sometimes that I can be prone to thinking in a certain way and seeing the way out of certain circumstances, and if I'm not careful, I'll ever so slightly start to suggest a way out, suggest a certain plan, plant a certain seed. I'll be kind of clever about it because I know after 20 years of trying to help people that if I just flat out give my personal opinion on every circumstance that poisons. But I might just slip a little, just a little in there every once in a while, and that still isn't good. That still is something that I think we all need to be aware of, that we can easily slip into our personal agenda with these people instead of fully accepting them, caring for them, appreciating what they're going through in that moment. There's the poison of our leftovers. You know, at Thanksgiving time, at Christmas time, and if anyone's ever worked in a professional kitchen, you know that there's warning out there that if you don't keep your food at a certain temperature, it's prone to be poisonous. It's prone to cause people great distress and cause sickness and disease even. So that's where our leftovers are just not good. We need to be fully rested and ready every day as best as we possibly can to meet the needs of those that we come across. And yeah, we're going to have our days that we're less than 100%. And it's in those days that we need to lean on our self-awareness, our self-understanding, to know that our energy level is really low, and that we need to be careful that we're not offering poisonous presents because of our leftover energy isn't at the proper temperature. Our heart isn't beating and burning at the heat and the intensity that it needs to. And so because of that, oftentimes the presence that we offer ends up poisoning people because we're not just burning with compassion and love and care in that moment. And finally, we poison other people with our presence because there's the poison of an infected wound. Henry Nouwen, whose quote and whose video was based upon that beautiful quote about the ministry of presence, one of his most famous works that came out in the early 1970s was a little book called The Wounded Healer, and he talks about how he was a Catholic priest and a professor and had received all these accolades for his academic standing, and yet he realized that if he tried to help people out of all his accolades, all of his degrees, all of the books and the speaking engagements that he could boast about, that it didn't offer people a lick of help. He needed to offer help in terms of connecting with people based upon his own experiences. Being a wounded healer means that I'm in touch with the pain of the past, and I'm in touch with the process of healing that has gone on in my own life, that I've continued to bandage, I've continued to take care of the wounds to the point where I may have a little bit of scar tissue left, or I might have a much smaller wound now than I did a year ago. And it's from that point of honesty, of transparency, that I can share about my woundedness in an appropriate and a healthy way. And that's a healthy way of offering presence when we can relate at that level with someone, because we have been working on our own stuff. We've been bandaging our wounds. But we all know that if someone has a raging infection and hasn't been bandaging their wounds, their infection can get all over you and cause you to become infected and poisoned and possibly even in serious, grave danger of having your life end because someone didn't take care of their wounds. Someone didn't take care of the infection that's going on in their life, and they just shared that all over you. And it can truly poison us. It can truly do damage instead of heal. So we need to be aware of the poison of an infected wound. We need to be wounded healers, but it is possible to be too wounded to heal. So not only do we need to give gifts of healing presence, our acceptance, our appreciation, our attention, and we need to be aware of the poison of our infected wounds, the poison of our distracted agendas, the poison of putting my personal three-step process into your life because that may not be what you need in that moment. Then the third part of the gift of healing presence, the gift of presence, is that we want to overflow with love, not just at Valentine's Day, not just at Christmas, not just on a birthday, but we want to develop an overflow out of our heart that truly blesses other people, that truly touches people's lives, that overflows with love. So what would that look like? Just like an overflowing fountain, just like an overflowing bathtub. If you've ever had the water running in your bathtub and didn't realize that the drain was closed, and all of a sudden the water gets higher and higher and higher and it begins to overflow. The idea is that a good kind of overflow The healing kind of overflow is when we overflow with love, when our heart is just constantly being filled up with compassion. When we fill our own tank up with compassion and kindness, then it will overflow into the lives of those that we're here to serve, that we're here to care for, that we're here to encourage, that we want to advance hope with. But that in that overflow sometimes just goes a little bit over the surface. It doesn't go very far. So it takes proximity. It takes closeness with other people to share that this overflow of love. It takes being close relationships. It takes knowing people and being known. Not just being well known, but knowing people well. It takes patience. It takes time. We can't hurry this. We can't hurry our healing. We can't hurry our help. We can't hurry to the assistance of offering hope to other people if we're always in a hurry. We're always in a rush. Take your time. Fill up your heart, your soul. If it's close to New Year's when you're watching this, make it a New Year's resolution to eliminate the word hurry from your vocabulary. And it takes faith and hope. Faith, hope, and love, those three virtues found in the scriptures, found in the gospels of the past, that we hold on to that faith. We hold on that there is something greater than myself at work here in my own life. And I want that greatness to overflow into the lives of others. And I want to have hope. I want to have a true vision of a better tomorrow. I want to have a power, an anchor to hold on to, a rock to brace myself against when the storms come. And I want to offer that same assurance with other people that they can have that hope to hold on to in the midst of difficult time. And we do all of this as we continue to operate out of humility and grace. This isn't our agenda. This isn't to make ourselves well known. This isn't to get a big platform following. This is to truly serve and love other people because our hearts are breaking at the pain, at the suffering, at the loss that people are going through. And we want to see grace at work. We want to see second chances offered. We want to see love offered when someone feels unlovable. We want to see hope offered when everything seems hopeless. And that's what grace can bring as we overflow with love. So let's get practical here. How can I learn to offer healing presence? Well, it starts with deep listening, and deep listening is both a gift and a skill. And then it moves into a deep connection, which is also a gift and a skill that can be developed. A great skill that I just want to focus on for a moment is to tune out the noise, to turn down the volume of all the noise, all the distractions, all the pressures that are going on, and learn the art of validation. That's what we have to offer other people, is that we have to offer our deep listening. We offer our deep connection. We offer the tune out of all the distractions. We offer the art of validation. And those are practical, actionable steps that we can take to put under the mistletoe, put under the tree, to offer as gifts, whether it's Hanukkah, whether it's birthdays, whether it's anniversaries, healing gifts of presence that come from listening, connecting, tuning out distractions, and validating someone in their time of need. So let's talk for a moment about deep listening. Again, it goes back to that attention. It goes back to tuning in fully to what is going on. Listening with our ears, listening with our eyes, listening with our hands. I like to say that deep listening involves at least 3 levels. It involves our hands, it involves our heart, and our hands, our head, and our heart. So our body, our mind, and our spirit. So our body, whether it's physically, seeing someone, whether it's physically hearing someone, it's just tuning in and practically grasping what they're trying to tell us. It's just physically getting a hold of the words, getting a hold of the nonverbal cues, getting a hold of what's in front of us to truly tune in that moment. That begins with our hands. That's kind of the symbol of getting a hold of what's physically in front of us, even though we often talk of listening with our ears, but I think we often need to begin with listening with our hands and just literally think about getting my hands on this person's story that they're sharing with me in that moment. Then as we begin to listen, we just automatically, our brain kicks in, our mind kicks in, we understand the vocabulary of what someone is saying, we begin to see through our mind's eye and replicate in our mind a picture of this situation, the scenario that is unfolding. And then we begin to process that. We begin to listen. We begin to process. We begin to understand that there are deep emotions involved. There are deep troubles that are being expressed, or there's deep and grateful joys that are being shared. So that's what our mind does. Our mind makes sense of what our hands are bringing to us. As we grasp the story in front of us, as we see the story unfold in front of us with our mind's eye, then our mind also begins to make sense of the emotional process. It begins to make sense of the spiritual. It begins to make sense of the physical reality of what is going on. And we take all of that and we internalize it to the core center of our life. Our deepest part of us, our heart, our soul. Oftentimes it's said that our soul, our heart, is like the operating system of a computer. It's not just the brains, but it's the literal lifeblood DNA within us that we listen with, so that all of us is engaging this person's life, all of us is engaging with this person's story, and we begin to listen for the meaning. We begin to listen through the metaphors, through the images, through the word pictures that this person is sharing with us, and we put it all together, our hands, our head, and our heart, with deep listening. And if you've ever been deeply listened to, oh, you know how encouraging that is. You know it eases the pain. It eases the tension. It's almost like it's just this beautiful gift that, supernaturally happens in that moment. Because as we listen deeply, we also connect deeply. It begins to form a deep connection. And it's this spiritual connection. It's this spiritual that God working in me, through me, and God working in you, through you, God working all around us, in and out of every circumstance, in and out of every relationship, in and out of every trouble and sorrow, begins to put the pieces of the puzzle together and helps us connect the dots, help us connect together, connect physically, emotionally, spiritually. Helps us connect deeply. If you believe in God, if you believe in the power of God ordaining and ordering our steps, that truly this is not an accident, that I am with this person in this moment, listening deeply to their moment of great sorrow, even of great joy, and then watching the supernatural pieces of the puzzle come together to connect us, to bond us in that moment. That is a gift of healing presence. And then finally, it's tuning out the distractions. I love this image. Imagine yourself just having a peaceful moment, walking along the beach, looking at the sunset, when all of a sudden a roaring F-16 fighter jet comes within 100 feet of you. It'd be pretty hard to tune out the F-16 jet. The noise, the physical force of just coming that close to a jet, it would be next to impossible to tune that out. But in a sense, that's what we're doing. We are saying, an F-16 could be flying right by me in this moment, but I'm going to concentrate and be disciplined, and I'm going to tune in, and I'm going to listen deeply, and I'm going to connect to the heart of this other person, and I'm not going to let anything get in my way of this connection, of this listening moment, because this person needs my full and undivided attention. And that's the level of tuning out distractions that we need to concentrate on if we're truly going to give this gift of presence at any point in time, whether it's the holiday season, again, whether it's your child comes home upset from a rough day at school, or whether it's the colleague that confides with you that their marriage is on the rocks and they're afraid that they're going to be divorced in a matter of weeks. As we listen, as we connect, as we tune out the distractions, then we offer the art of validating what has happened. So we listen at 3 levels. Content, that's where we get our hands on the literal content, the literal story of what is being told in front of us. And then we also begin to process in our mind the emotions, the mental energy that this person is sharing with us. We begin to process that. We begin to understand that there's a lot of emotions. Maybe what they're saying to us is being said in a very sad tone of voice, or maybe they're just gritting their teeth and the anger is emoting from them as they share this story. Maybe it's a sense of just being completely befuddled and lost and not sure where to turn. That's that process that we're listening for. And then finally, the metaphors, the word images that come to mind as someone shares with us. What is this like for them? Can they paint a picture for us? What are the pictures that they're sharing for us? So we're listening and we're connecting, and then we begin to validate, especially the emotions. You know, boy, Jane, as you're sharing this story with me, it sounds like you're feeling really discouraged. It sounds like you feel like no one is listening, no one is caring for you. And it'll be amazing to watch someone just light up when you land on exactly what their process is all about, because they feel heard, they feel valued, they feel connected to, just because you validated them. Or we ask them, you know, what does this mean to you? When you say that your marriage is like a slimy swamp, what does that mean? Can you express that more for me? I want to tune into that. That doesn't sound good. It sounds like you feel like your marriage isn't in a good spot. So you're both asking for clarification. You're asking for the person to elaborate upon the meaning of their words, the meaning of their metaphors, and you're also validating them at the same time as you also are paying attention. You're paying attention to your posture. You're paying attention to their posture. You're paying attention to the tone of voice that you share back with them as much as you're trying to match their tone. And you're paying attention to, am I being empathic? Am I feeling what they're feeling in this moment, or giving it my best to really truly imagine and inhabit the story that they're sharing? Because your presence and your validation, studies have proven that it truly lowers the stress hormones, whether it's the stress that comes because you're afraid to fly and someone just calmly reassures you, says, it's okay, I'm with you. I see that you're very upset right now. You're very nervous as you grip a hold of the arm rests on this 747 heading out for vacation. As we validate, as we feel what this person is feeling, your presence will lower the chemicals that are being sent through the person's brain into their body when they're in a stressful situation. And that's what is the gift of presence, is that it heals, it lowers the stress, it provides reassurance that this person is not alone, and that it offers an opportunity to explore in a deep way, what is the purpose of this? What does this mean? What is this all about? And all of that contributes to the healing and the help. So today, I hope that you've been encouraged. I hope that you realize that you have a gift to bring to someone, whether it's at Christmas time and you're going to wrap up your presents and put it under the tree and literally be the one this Christmas season who's not arguing, who's not debating, who's not making it all about your agenda, but be the one who tunes in to the needs and the concerns of the people that you're with. Be the one who tunes out all the noise and the distraction. Offer a gift to your family and your home. Be the one who tunes in immediately the first sign that you get that someone is having a moment of distress, a moment of fear, a moment of worry, a moment of agony. Be the one that eliminates the noise, refuses to hurry, and takes the time to know other people well, not just focus on how well known you can be. Be the one that knows other people well this season, whatever season you find yourself in. So thank you again for joining us on this presentation. Thank you for offering your gift of presence, because again, by being that gift to other people, you are advancing hope. I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas if you're viewing this in the Christmas season. I want to wish you a bright new year, whether your new year begins in January or your new year begins in July. I want to wish you a bright and wonderful new year, and I want to see us each and every one of you thrive together as we advance hope at home, in the community, and beyond. Thank you again.